Hi guys, Yasas kakalosirtate, which means hello and welcome in Greek to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I have a delicious vegetarian recipe for you that you can easily serve as a main dish, or you can serve it as a starter or an appetizer at your next dinner party. I'm going to teach you how to make Mediterranean style stuffed artichoke hearts. They come together in like 30 minutes and they are so packed with flavor. You can definitely switch the ingredients up and add a few of your favorites in here or substitute some for a few of your favorites. Let's get started because I cannot wait to share this recipe with you. So for this recipe, I really like to take a shortcut and buy frozen artichoke hearts. Now, I recently discovered these in my local Middle Eastern specialty food store. If you have a Mediterranean or Middle Eastern specialty food store nearby, they're going to be sold in the freezer section. If you're lucky enough to find this in your local supermarket, then just go ahead and buy a couple of bags because they are so tasty. And it cuts so much time because peeling an artichoke is not the easiest thing in the world. It's not hard either, but it just takes a little bit of time. So I'm going to take them out of their bag and I'm just going to pop them into some boiling water. I don't thaw them out or anything. They're still frozen. And I'm going to season the water with a little bit of salt. About a teaspoon should be good. And I'm going to squeeze the juice of half a lemon in here to keep them from turning brown. And I'm just going to let these artichokes boil for about 8 minutes or until they're fork tender. Once the artichokes are fork tender, that should take anywhere between 6 to 8 minutes. Just take them out, drain them, and transfer them onto a plate and set them aside because now it's time to make the filling. And the filling could not be simpler to make. It starts off with a small onion. I just go ahead and roughly chop it. And then I add it to an oven-safe skillet along with about a 1/4 cup of olive oil, or you could put a little bit less. And you cook the oven over medium heat until it's nice and soft and golden. That should also take about 8 minutes or so. So the onions are ready. And if you've been following me, you know that I like to preserve everything so that way we waste as little bit of food as possible. So I buy big, huge batches of peeled garlic and then I puree it and freeze it. If you want to learn how to do it, click on this link over here and that'll teach you. So I take about a teaspoon of the pureed garlic and I'm going to add it to the onions. Since the garlic is very finely grated, all you need is a few seconds in here. Then I have some spinach. So I'm going to take a few handfuls of spinach. You can roughly chop it, but this is baby spinach. This is a whole pound bag. So I'm going to put about 4 handfuls because it's going to cook down to almost nothing. And mix it around so that way the onion and the garlic does not burn. We're cooking this over medium heat until it's all wilted and cooked down. And it cooks down, it wilts down in just like 2-3 minutes. That's all it needs. If your spinach releases a lot of liquid, then cook it out so that way the filling won't be too watery. Mine barely released any. It's perfectly cooked. So I'm going to take it off of the heat now. And I'm also going to season it with a little bit of salt and black pepper. Now, because I'm going to make everything in this pan, and this pan is then later on going to go in the oven, I'm just going to transfer the filling into another bowl. And if you buy lots of spinach like I do, and you don't want to just put this in your refrigerator and forget about it, I'm talking about the leftover fresh spinach, then what you're going to want to do is take it all, put it in a frying pan, drizzle about 2-3 tablespoons of olive oil, sprinkle a tiny bit of salt on it, and just cook it over medium heat until it wilts down and all of the liquid evaporates. Let that cool completely, and then you could transfer it to a freezer-safe bag and keep it in your freezer. It should stay fresh up to like 3 months. Then you could go ahead and take that out and put it in stews. You could even use that instead of the fresh spinach and fillings. It's so easy to have, and it's a great tip to save food so you don't let it, sit in your refrigerator. Sometimes you forget about it and you don't know what to cook with it. I have lots of little videos on my Instagram stories, so if you want to go check those out. Now, to the filling, I'm going to add some feta cheese. I'm not going to tell you how much feta cheese you should add. I'd say this is around 3-4 ounces, but you want to add more, you want to add less, it's totally up to you. Then I have a roasted red pepper. I buy jars of these things and they're a pantry staple that I have all the time in my pantry or in my refrigerator. I'm just going to go ahead and chop this up or dice it up into small bite-sized little pieces. And you want to check if it has any seeds inside, go ahead and take those seeds out first before you chop it. This one doesn't have any in there. And the final ingredient that's going to go in here are some pitted kalamata olives. I'm just going to roughly chop these and go ahead and mix everything all together. And then, of course, the best part of cooking is tasting. Now you want to taste the filling and make sure it's properly seasoned. This right here is a recipe all by itself that is a delicious side. It's low carb, it's grain free, and it's totally delicious. It doesn't need a single thing. Now, if you wanted to put some dill in here, you could. You could put some fresh mint. You could also finely chop some parsley if you wanted to. I'm gonna leave it just the way it is because the flavors just stand out and taste so delicious. I'm gonna set it on the side. Now I'm gonna make the sauce. So it's a really quick 3-step process. Doesn't take a lot of effort. So the sauce is going to be a really creamy, lemony sauce that is going to be very similar to an avgolemono, but there aren't going to be any eggs in it. I'm going to start with a little pat of butter. This is about a tablespoon or so. And let that melt. While it's melting, I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. This is going to be the thickening agent. We're going to create a really nice roux. And I'm just going to whisk everything all together and let the flour cook down some of that raw taste. Then if you want to keep it vegetarian, then you're going to want to add some vegetable broth. I have 2 cups of vegetable broth here, or chicken broth if you don't mind. Chicken broth is going to add lots and lots of flavor. But if you're keeping it vegetarian, go for the vegetable broth. Mix this all together, and we're going to bring this to a boil and let this cook until it thickens. So it's beginning to cook. I'm going to season this with a little bit of salt, just a little pinch because the broth usually has plenty of salt in it, and a little bit of black pepper. And we're going to cook this for about 2 more minutes until it begins to thicken. At this point, this is the consistency you're looking for. It's almost like a thin gravy. We're going to take it off of the heat. And now I'm going to add about a heaping teaspoon of capers. You could add a little more, a little less. I just love the tangy brininess that they add. And I'm also going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice. That's like the juice of 1 lemon, depending on how juicy your lemon is. And it also depends, you put in here as much as you like so that way you get it to the lemoniness that you like. And the best thing to do is to taste it as you go. Ah, yummy. Very lemony. That's how I like it. So start off with 1 and then keep going till you get it to the taste that you like, because once you put in that extra lemon juice, you can't take it out. And as it bakes in the oven, it is going to concentrate a little bit more. Now we're going to stuff the artichoke hearts. I like to put heaping spoonfuls of the filling onto the heart and then put it straight into the sauce. So my oven is preheated to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to put the pan in the oven, or the skillet I should say, in the oven, and I'm going to let them bake for about 20 minutes. And once they come out, I'm going to let them cool down a little bit, so that way they cool down and they set and the sauce thickens even more and they're easier to eat and handle. And I'll show you what they look like as soon as they come out. The artichokes are ready and the house smells amazing. Let them cool down just a little bit so that way they're easy to handle. You can serve these with some toasted bread just to soak up all that delicious sauce, or really with whatever you want. A nice salad, like I said, you can have these as a starter or an appetizer and serve them alongside some grilled chicken. These are great because it's pretty hot right now and they come together in 20 minutes in the oven, and then really it takes about 15-20 minutes to put the whole thing all together. Serve these alongside grilled chicken, fish, whatever you like, and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. It is time to take a bite. I want to make sure I get a little caper too. So good. They're perfectly cooked, nice and tender, but they're not mushy or falling apart or anything. That filling melts in your mouth, especially when I get a bite of the kalamata olive. Just takes it to the next level. The sauce is perfectly creamy, even though there's no cream in there, but lemony, tangy, refreshing. Just out of this world amazing. I think you guys are really gonna love it. If you're not a fan of olives, then just leave them out. Maybe saute some mushrooms and put them in there, or some zucchini. Let me know what you change and how you do it in the comment section down below. I always like to see how you guys do things, if they're a little bit different. The recipe, as always, is on the website, dimitrasdishes.com, as well as underneath this video in the description box down below. If you want to learn how to make more delicious artichoke recipes, click right over here, and I will see you right over there. Yes, Ess?